Hello and good afternoon from the UK's second city, Birmingham, where you join me outside of New Street Station. Now today, we'll be heading back up to Leeds with CrossCountry, and I've been really looking forward to this journey, not only because this will be my first time checking out their first class offering, but also as I know that this journey is going to be aboard a HST, which is somewhat of a rarity these days. Anyway, but first we need to check out the station. Well, the first departure boards don't exactly display good news. Our train is already running over 10 minutes late, and we're not even due to depart for almost an hour yet. In terms of functionality at least, I think New Street might just be my favourite station in the country. The Grand Central Shopping Centre is incorporated into the station, and as I've mentioned in previous videos, it bears more resemblance to Germany's Hauptbahnhofs than it does to most other stations in the UK. Anyway, as you can see, the station is quite busy, probably at least in part due to the fact that the Commonwealth Games were being hosted here in Birmingham when I filmed this. If you still need to buy a ticket, you're not going to have any issues here. In addition to the large ticket office seen here, you'll also find plenty of standalone ticket machines scattered throughout the station. Anyway, the time soon comes to head through to the platform to await the arrival of our train. We'll be departing from platform 7 this evening, and the service we'll be catching is the 1903 to Leeds. A few trains came before ours, including this CrossCountry Turbo Star bound for Nottingham. I actually reviewed this service a couple of years ago, so be sure to check out that video in the top right corner of the screen now. Soon enough, departure time comes and goes, with no sign of our train. Oh well, I guess at least we get to enjoy the sound of this Class 323 departing. It sounds a bit like an F1 car when it's setting off, don't you think?
This is a security message. If you see something that doesn't look right, speak to staff or text the Transport Police on 61006.
Also, if you think our delay is bad, spare a thought for the passengers joining this Avanti Pendolino. This service was supposed to be heading to Glasgow, but at the last minute, it was decided it would now terminate at Wolverhampton instead, with no announcements being made to inform people of this. Yikes. Eventually, we're told to head back up to the concourse, as our train no longer has a platform, and there's not even an estimated arrival time at this point. About 20 or so minutes later, we're told to head down to platform 9 to hopefully await the arrival of our train.
2003 CrossCountry service to Leeds.
Finally, a sound that could only be an idling HST comes rumbling its way down the platform as our train arrives in from Plymouth around 50 minutes late. Well, it appears that we have a special power car on this consist. This locomotive adorns the classic Intercity executive livery, and I don't know about you, but I think it looks great. Anyway, today's Intercity 125 set consists of two Class 43 diesel-electric locomotives, with 7 Mark III coaches being sandwiched between them. The Intercity 125s first entered service with British Rail in 1976, and have since become a railway icon. While the type has an authorised top speed of 125 miles an hour, the HST holds the world record for the fastest diesel train, having achieved a top speed of 148 miles an hour in 1987. Anyway, let's get on board. I think I'm glad I've booked a first class ticket today, as standard class looks absolutely rammed. First class can be found in the rear two coaches. I have a seat reservation for this evening's trip, that being coach A, seat 29. As expected here, seating is in a 2+1 configuration, with the seats here being not too dissimilar from what you used to find on the old East Coast HSTs.
Sit there.
And as expected, legroom is absolutely fantastic. Plug sockets can be found, however the ones in this coach didn't work. Nice big tables can be found at each and every seat, as can curtains. These seats do offer a fairly good amount of recline, and as expected, are rather comfortable. As the train, or rather first class at least, wasn't all that busy, we decided to move to a bay of two. Anyway, before we set off, let's just take a quick look at our route for today. Our trip will see us heading generally north from Birmingham, up through Staffordshire, Derbyshire, South Yorkshire, and finally into West Yorkshire and Leeds. Scheduled travel time is 1 hour and 59 minutes, and we'll be travelling at speeds of up to 125 miles an hour. We finally end up departing New Street around 55 minutes late, at just after 5 to 8. Visible off in the background now is the 29,409-seater St Andrews Stadium, home of Championship football team Birmingham City, one of 6 professional teams in the West Midlands, the others being Aston Villa, Coventry City, Walsall, West Bromwich Albion and Wolverhampton Wanderers. Anyway, soon enough, the HST is slowly gathering speed as we make our way away from Birmingham. These old HSTs are definitely a lot more sluggish to get up to line speed than their newer counterparts. I believe it may even take as much as 12 minutes for an Intercity 125 set to accelerate up to 125 miles an hour. With my phone now running low on battery, we move forward to the next coach, in hope of finding a working plug socket. And hey presto, we're in luck. So panic over, I'll still be able to access my ticket for my onward journey to Huddersfield once we arrive in Leeds. In the past, I have complained that these old Mark III coaches have been quite bouncy when travelling at high speeds. However, no such problem with these ones, as they were silky smooth, or perhaps I should say squeaky smooth, as their trademark noises were still present here. We soon pass Central Rivers Train Maintenance Depot, where CrossCountry maintains its fleet of Class 220 and 221 Voyagers, which make up the majority of their fleet. A short time later, we arrive at our first calling point of Burton-on-Trent. The town is historically known for brewing beer, with around a quarter of all beer produced in the UK being brewed here at its peak. A short time after Burton, we pass a rake of ex-Caledonian Sleeper Mark II seated carriages. My very first video was a review of one of these, which you can find in the top right corner of the screen now if you're interested. Shortly thereafter, we arrive at our next stop in the form of Derby. While the city is probably best known for its ties to Rolls-Royce, Derby is also home to one of Bombardier Transportation's rolling stock production lines. After Derby, the catering trolley finally comes round. To be honest, I think that the catering offer is a bit of a slap in the face. Considering how expensive first class tickets often are on CrossCountry, a cup of tea and a small biscuit definitely comes across as very stingy. Up next this evening is Sheffield, which is our first stop in the county of Yorkshire. South Yorkshire to be precise, and not Derbyshire, as a lot of people seem to comment every time I give the city a mention. Sheffield is historically famed for its production of steel, earning it the nickname the Steel City, and nowadays is the second largest city in Yorkshire, behind Leeds.
Right, good evening to those on train. You may have just recently joined us. This train is the CrossCountry service originally from Plymouth. But this train is delayed by about 45 minutes. Apologies for the delay to this train if you wait for this particular service.
After Sheffield, we find the night rapidly encroaching upon us, and by the time we reach our next and final intermediate stop of Wakefield Westgate, it's almost pitch black out. Wakefield is of course known for HMP Wakefield, which is a Category A prison, that's equivalent to maximum security. As expected, some of the country's most notorious and dangerous criminals are held within the facility, which can be seen just as we enter and leave the station. It's the building with the tower that has purple lighting. Anyway, as we'll soon be arriving into Leeds, I think it's time for a wander. The rear coach is where you'll find wheelchair spaces for first class passengers. Coach F is its standard class counterpart. Naturally, you'll find the disabled toilet next to this. To say the train had come all the way from Plymouth and was nearing the end of its journey, they were really rather clean, well stocked, and everything working as intended. As you can see, first class mainly consists of bays of 2 and 4, which I guess is perhaps a bit outdated these days, but I suppose it shows the train's age a bit. At the standard class end of Coach B, there's a small catering area, as opposed to the traditional buffet car that you'd have usually found on HSTs in the past. So, standard class. As expected, this is laid out in a 2+2 configuration. Another notable difference when compared to first class is that there are considerably more airline style seats here. As you can probably tell, these trains have been refurbished in the time since they entered service. These sets are kitted out to a very similar spec as the Project Mallard refurbished HSTs that used to be used on the East Coast Main Line. As for luggage racks, you'll find larger ones at the end of the saloon, with plenty of space on overhead racks also being provided throughout. Lastly, Coach G at the front of the train is where you'll find the quiet coach. Anyway, the sight of Elland Road and the M621 indicates that we will very soon be arriving into Leeds, so I guess this is as good of a time as any to summarise, and I really have conflicting feelings on the experience offered here. On the one hand, the hard product, i.e. the seats, are really quite good and comfortable, and not to mention that these old HSTs still offer a rather good passenger experience considering their age. On the other hand though, the catering offer, to be frank, is really not good enough. And couple that with the fact that CrossCountry don't have any first class lounges, it suddenly starts feeling like a bit of a more spruced up version of standard class. As for the delay, that was due to a vehicle hitting a bridge, so not really CrossCountry's fault. However, almost a month on, I am still yet to receive any form of delay repay payout. As for my ticket, well, my advanced first class single cost me £58.20, including railcard discount of a third. Considering the pretty low level of service offered, coupled with the fact that this journey was only 2 hours in length, I don't really think that represents good value for money, but hey, maybe you have differing opinions on this. Be sure to let me know in the comments. Anyway, welcome to Leeds, where we finally arrive, just over 50 minutes behind schedule, at about 5 to 10. I now need to head to the opposing platform to catch my train back to Huddersfield, so I think we'll end the video here. I do hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, be sure to help us out by giving the video a like, it is certainly greatly appreciated. If you're new to the channel, then why not subscribe and enable notifications as I publish new trip reports every Friday. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you next Friday.